Good morning, everybody. Oh my goodness, what a day it's been already. So I, unfortunately, during this beginning part, am going to have to finish a little video thing. Let me just tell you guys about what's been going on. Last night, my son got he's got his cast on. And when they put the cast together, they put on this sleeve that covers the thumb and a sleeve that covers the hand, and then they build the cast around it. And this is right here is where his thumb's broken at. So last night, the thumb sleeve came out. So now his thumb is all wiggling around inside of his cast. So this morning, we had to be up at the Shriner Hospital, the Children's Hospital, at 7 a.m. to get into their bone clinic. And I thought, oh my gosh, when we left there, it was like 9:40. I'm like, I can be back in time for morning Oasis. Yes, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to go. Well, I dropped him off at school. I came back. I was all ready to get started, and the school calls me and says, so today is the day that all immunization updates are required to be at school. And if you have not submitted his most current immunization form, he can't go to school. So he is sitting in the office as we speak. And I have decided, my husband and I'm not going to get into a vaccine debate, whether or not they're good or they're real or they're right. He had all of his vaccines when he was a child, and since then I've learned a lot about them, and my personal choice is to not get him the diphtheria, tetanus, and whatever it is, vaccine update. So in order to do that, you have to watch this video, you have to fill out this form, you have to take it to the school, and you have to sign off. Well, I did all of that, but apparently I didn't watch the right video. So I had to come back home. I'm still finishing this ridiculous video because, and I say ridiculous because I am not an ignorant person. I took a lot of biology and anatomy, and I understand what vaccines are. I had to watch the whole thing again. It's like a 20-minute video, and now I have to watch this video that's just on diphtheria, tetanus, and psoriasis, and I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? And when I went to try to print it, the printer wouldn't work. So this is what we're gonna kind of talk about today, is how our technology is impacted by energy, how these kind of things can come up. And in the meantime, before we get to that, I'm just gonna you guys have to kind of bear with me on this one. I have to keep clicking next as it goes through each of these diseases with this huge scary thing. And all of this, by the way, is targeted for kids. You know, there's like little kids, and he's not a little kid anymore. So I have to finish watching this video, which I'm barely paying attention to because I've already watched it up until this point, and there's just this little bit left. And then I have to save the PDF file and then put it over in an email. I've got it all set up, so that's kind of what's going on. It turns out, you guys, he has to have surgery. They're gonna have to put a pin in. It's what it is. Yeah, Jesse, I do kind of need to breathe. What a morning, you guys. What a morning. I've been up since 6, and I'm just like zombie-eyed right now. So, okay, it is done. 1 second. And now if you guys want to do any card pulls, we can do that. I don't know how long of a show we'll do today, just because we're so late. How are you guys doing? Where are you guys at? Has anybody been noticing their technology having problems? I know a few people have messaged me about it. Hold on. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. They didn't give me the certificate. Oh my gosh. Okay, so he's just going to have to sit there and wait. We'll do a short show. We're going to talk about technology. So what you guys are probably noticing is you're having glitches in technology like I just experienced. It completely skipped over the certification page. My printer's not communicating with my computer. When I first tried to log into this, it did my blinking thing that I haven't been doing for a long time. And internet connection was struggling. What else is going on for me? Mostly it's communication with devices. So this is a really common thing for especially people who are energetically sensitive, people who are moving a lot of energy through their bodies. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be a short show today because I clearly have to still deal with this crap and Spas is just sitting there waiting. But what I wanted to talk about was how do you, I want to see you pull a poll for you as your current state in a bit, shall we say stormy? Yeah. Well, so one of the ways that you can figure out, like, another thing that happens for me, washing machine doesn't always complete the cycle. You know, I'm having struggles with just basic technology stuff. A couple of people messaged me talking about how their computers are not working at all, and they're having problems with their computer even logging on. One woman has trouble using her computer at all. So I thought I'd tell you guys a little story. When I first really started channeling energy, and I'm kind of like a powerhouse, you know, I use a lot of energy, a lot of it flows through Morning Clary. And when I'm flowing energy like that, I feel normal. To me, it feels normal. I wasn't even aware of this until I had other people say to me, wow, that's a lot of energy coming through you. And when I first got my first little netbook, because I was writing, I wrote a novel that just came out of me in like 2 weeks. It was crazy. I did an 800-page novel in 2 weeks that came from a dream. And I kept frying out the motherboard. So the first time it happened, all of the BIOS got wiped out of the computer and nothing could communicate with each other. The second time it happened, the motherboard connection into the rest of the computer got literally the solder that connects it and the lines crossing over were boiled off. There was no solder left on the board. The third time it happened, there was no solder left in any of the circuitry. It was all this bubbled, boiled mess. And I had to like figure it out. Yeah, having problems with apps, listening to music, watching movies, probably having trouble with streaming, because that's something that actually uses quite a bit of memory in your computer. It's doing a lot of communication. It's kind of buffering, pulling information down, and then projecting. So I was really reluctant to believe that it was even possible that I could be doing this to my computer. After sending the fourth computer back in, I had to start looking at what's actually happening here. Now, we use our hand chakras so much, and more than most of us are even aware of. So a lot of energy is always coming out of these palms and these hands, especially if you're not in tune with them and you're not paying attention to it. After I figured that part out, I got an external keyboard because I use laptops, and that helped because I'm channeling it through this keyboard that's far less sensitive. Now, I have gone through about 3 keyboards in the last 4 years. But that's okay. They're cheap. They're easy to replace. Keyboards are easy to replace, and that's something I'm willing to replace. I'm not as hard on mouses, but I don't spend as much time on the mouse as I do on the keyboard. So my former teacher said, well, what you have to do is create a bubble around your device, your technology. And when you create that bubble around your technology, I can't believe I have to watch that video again. What happens is that the you're not making that bubble out of source energy like we do when we're pulling source energy down and surrounding ourselves with that energy. You're actually making a bubble of your energy. And you intentionally set the frequency of that bubble to be very low. Your frequency, but a low volume, like turning the volume down really, really low. And then you put that bubble around all of your technology, your phone, your computer, your modem. If you have electronics, most cars nowadays are more like a computer. Your car, I impacted my car. Your toaster, your microwave, your refrigerator, anything that has circuitry, electronics, you're going to impact it because these are extensions of us. Our devices become extensions of us. So that's kind of what we're going to work on today, is that that concept of extensions of energy, and creating that space. So I'm not gonna have a long talk today. My brain is just too scattered. I had an intention of what I wanted to talk about today, so we'll just transition it over to tomorrow. And if anybody has questions and they want to ask about it in specifics, that's great. But let's go ahead and start. We're going to just jump right into work, because the reality is most of you already are grounded and connected. Use your compass and check in for a moment. Let's see, Jessie says, perhaps if in our own minds we rethink how we perceive our technology, if we were to accept it as a life energy rather than a foreign electrical energy. Yeah, exactly. That's a huge part of it. And that's what we're going to work on in the meditation point, in this working piece. So we're going to jump right in, because you guys, sometimes in the world, you've got to just do energy work. You have to just address something that's coming up. You don't have time to sit there and pull that energy through you and be really calm and in this grounded, centered state. So what we're going to do is I want you guys to close your eyes and hold your hands just like you're holding a bowling ball, or a sphere of some sort. And start to visualize that you have this perfect sphere in your hands. Go ahead and just move your hands around and see if you can even feel it. Some people are sensitive enough that they can actually feel it. And when they try to compress it, it's like I can't bring my hands more together than this. I have to really try. And it's really compressing it. I can release it to be this size. That gets easier. I can expand this bubble. Pulling more energy through. Opening up the hands more. So, you've got this sphere. You can do all kinds of things with this sphere. And maybe at some point, if you guys are interested, we'll do sphere play. But for right now, we're going to tune the frequency of this sphere to a frequency that will be safe for what our electronics are ready for now. So it won't be our full power, but that's still our vibration. Okay? Does that make sense? Now you can expand it big enough if you need to, or you can just start visualizing your things inside, right? So start by, what piece of technology do you use the most? I use my computer the most. So I'm going to visualize my laptop, my screens, my printer, my keyboard and my mouse, my phone because I'm using it right now, and my modem's right over here. I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to imagine all the lines of connection of my modem. Mine's a cable modem. So I'm going to start visualizing that cable going down into the earth and just allowing it to be all of that cable within the sphere. I use my car a lot. My car is a hybrid. It's very sensitive to electricity. So I'm going to go ahead and visualize my car inside of this sphere. And now I'm going to let these devices, these things, these pieces know that they are recognized as an extension of me. They're a part of me, and these devices help me be able to communicate, move, interact. They facilitate my existence in this creation. They're extensions of my vessel. I'm giving them this recognition for myself and for them, these devices. And as I hold this space, I try to think, are there any other things that are electronic that I plug in? I plug in my heater, my refrigerator, that pesky washing machine. The coffee pot, my coffee pot. Microwave, the dishwasher. These are things I use, and I recognize they facilitate my life. They're parts of me. They're parts of my home. How about we just put our whole home now inside the bubble? If you feel like you need to make the bubble bigger in order to facilitate it, go for it. So I'm seeing my home with all of these things in their places, in the car, in the garage below me, the wiring through my house, the circuit board, all of that. Not circuit board, it's not coming to me. Circuit breaker. So, starting to see these things, and right now they're in this sphere space with the energy frequency quite low. Now, using your compass, if you need to, begin to adjust the frequency higher and louder, and begin to flow through your hands into the spheres shifting and adjusting until your frequency of comfort where you're at right now and the bubble are matched. Gracefully and effortlessly bringing up the vibrational frequency of the devices themselves. Bringing that energy up until you are at your comfort level, okay? Now recognize, if you're using your computer while you're doing, or your phone, or your modem, or any of these things while you're channeling, and I do that while I'm driving, that's much higher than just your comfortable normal level. So now, begin to rise that frequency in the bubble higher. And start to pull in your grounded and connected energy through the heart chakra, coming up through the roots and through the crown and joining in the heart chakra like this spiraling vortice of energy. Continue amplifying and pulling it in until you are at your full maximum power. And then begin to project that slowly into the sphere. Rising the frequency of the sphere again until you feel the frequency of the sphere is now matching this highest optimum frequency of self. Now, we just all received an upgrade of frequency and energy. It's because we have that portal of love energy, universal love energy coming through, flowing through us, really charging us up. Begin to visualize that portal of love. It already is doing so, but just visualize it also connecting into your sphere. See its waves washing over the sphere's edges, amplifying and growing. As the sphere becomes more and more powerful, allow yourself to receive from the sphere too. Begin to see each of these devices and pieces of equipment that you use in the home. Each of them, if you have an office space, if you go to a workspace, each of these things inside of your sphere begin to ground them. Give them their own roots, grounding them into the earth. We always have a grounding line on our plugs and electricity. Ground that stuff with this etheric energy. Feel your own roots beginning to respond as you are grounding more deeply the electronics within the sphere. See the light of connection. Give them their own connecting light, independent of you. These are vessels just like you. They just operate with a different material content, a different assemblage of the atoms. Allow each thing in your sphere to have its own light of connection, just like a little funnel of light or tunnel of light or beam of light. Feel the difference inside of that sphere now. It doesn't feel so buzzy, it doesn't feel so high in vibration, but it feels powerful. When you start to find that your electronics are acting up, this is the thing to do to upgrade them. I kind of set it as this autopilot thing. I've been doing it for the last 4 years, but I still have trouble. I forget some things. Like my new car, when I got it, my dad gave me the car. Completely forgot to include it in the sphere. I have tuned my sphere to be in alignment with me because I view these things as an extension of myself. So I keep that sphere around my home, gauging where I'm at, where my family's at, because I have 2 other very powerful people in the house who also are impacting my electronics and their own. So that is the lesson for today, you guys. It's almost 11. I still have to finish this vaccine certificate. Today was just going to be one of those days that it was kind of confusing. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead and keep working and playing with this sphere. What I would love for you guys to do in between today and tomorrow is to build a sphere and play with the energy inside of it. Try tuning the energy into the density consciousness of water and feel the difference as it shifts. Try tuning it into air. Air always wants to puff up. Try tuning it into fire. Try tuning it into earth. Play with these frequencies. Visualize different places on the planet, like Antarctica. Try to pull in a sphere of Antarctic air. Notice that your hands begin to feel cold. Try to tune into the frequency of the lava pouring out of the volcano in Hawaii that's still pouring into the ocean. Feel them warm up. So go ahead and play. Enjoy the energy, you guys. Play with it. And I'll be back tomorrow. Everything should be back to normal tomorrow. Bye, you guys.